everybody. Welcome to the mid-season Q&A for the Soul's Confidant, which is an Invisible Sun campaign, a system created by Monty Cook Games set in the surreal world of Saturnine. As you can see, I'm not in the middle this time because I'm actually getting questions asked of me, and instead we have the lovely Gonah here to host us all off and everything. But before we get started, let's everyone go around quickly, say hi, who we are, and who we play in the campaign. I will go first. I am Mare, and I am the Game Master. And I'm gonna pop it over to Hamnah.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Hamnah. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer. In this campaign, I play Roshni, who uses they, them pronouns, and they are an itinerant ardent of the Order of Weavers who caught Fire's Eye. I will popcorn this over to Val.
Hi everyone, my name is Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I play Ishmael, who uses he, they pronouns. Ishmael is an iconoclastic empath of the Order of Goetics, calls upon the Serpent. I'm gonna popcorn this to see.
I love that my Alecto apostate sheet is on my recents for Google because I was like, oh my god, wait, I don't know. Hi, my name's C. I use they them pronouns. I'm a dancer, digital artist, tabletop streamer. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet, PySharp Art. And I play Alecto the Curse Maker, who is an eremitic stoic apostate who converses with everything.
And Gonah, say hi, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Gonah Hawking. I am the questions host. However, you may or may not have seen me previously with Carousel, who was a maker who turned tales into reality. He has not technically been in the game, but he's also been in the game, but hasn't been in the game. But it's complicated.
He's made cameos.
He's made cameos, and it's been fun. I have heard so many things about this game, and just things through Mare and through Val. This has been an awesome game that I have been able to see a little bit vicariously, but I haven't been here for all of it. And so a lot of these questions I'm going to be asking for real because I do not know the answer to them at all.
I would also like to say, Carousel hasn't been in the game yet, but I might elaborate a little more later on that.
Exactly. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Please, phone, silence yourself. So, starting off, for those of you who know about Invisible Sun, this is a very different game style than what you get from Dungeons and Dragons, from Pathfinder, from vast majority of games. And so with that, part of it is the character creation. One of our questions that we have for today is to everyone except for Mare. How have you found playing a system as dense as Invisible Sun for the first time, especially on stream? So for instance, were there any behind the scenes tweaks that you made in order to make that system easier to understand or more playable for you as a player? So is there anyone who wants to start that? If not, I will pick on you like a teacher.
I can start if you like. Because the first thing that comes to mind thinking about this is I am not very into crunchy systems personally. I'm far more interested in character and in developing character. So I think that in this stream particularly, I feel a lot more comfortable kind of tackling a crunchy, very mechanical system because Mare as a GM is also really focused on players and story over rules, I would say. And I find it easy enough, I think, to be able to be like, hey, Mare, this is what I want to do. And Mare can be the one who tells me, okay, well, here's how you're going to do that. Coming up with the curse maker specifically, is not necessarily something that's in the book or in the mechanics to have somebody who could put curses into other things. But we just kind of chose the things that felt the most right for that character based on what was available and kind of reflavored it also. So I feel in that way, It's also nice because sometimes the system can give you little things that you're like, oh, I was not expecting this of myself or of this character particularly, but you can really get into like, oh, I'm also surprised by how the mechanics are assisting me or showing me like a nuance to this character that I didn't really know. And that's been nice to like be like, what do I want to do versus what is available to me and how do I like get a good blend of both? And I will just give props to Mare for like making that a really, really easy transition through everything.
I think for me, similarly, part of what's like fun for me about Invisible Sun and learning it was that so much of the mechanics are built around, like C said, like around the stories and around the characters. Like I'm the kind of person who like when you play a video game, I spend like hours on character creation specifically if it has a good enough character creation system because I'm like this is an important decision that is very very that is going to be instrumental in how I play this game and whether it's going to be fun for me. So for me personally, the whole like character sentence thing and the like 5 steps or more, however many steps there were to like creating a character were really fun for me personally as a mechanic to learn because it felt very much like being on that character creation screen for a video game and like kind of going through that. And that's one thing I guess that like for me, even though Invisible Sun is a really dense and like heavy system, something that makes me actually want to like learn it is that it is very character driven, very like player driven. The whole idea of like having character arcs and then giving them to your GM to like put together into a story is not something that I've seen in a different system before, and so that's something that I really really enjoyed personally.
For me, that was definitely a challenge because I've been in the TTRPG space, playing for properly only in the past year or so. And most of the games that I had played were either rules light and or D&D. And so Invisible Sun, I think, posed a very, very unique challenge in, for me personally, of like, hey, bud, learn a new system. And honestly, I think Invisible Sun for me personally has been very freeing. I think we mentioned this in the Cypher Unlimited interview as well about how the mechanics of the game really kind of, yes, there are mechanics of the game, the character creation, things like that, but it really is structured as a storytelling device all on its own. Because at every point in the introduction in the book itself talks about role-playing styles. What kind of role player are you? What kind of experience you get out of games? Here's what you do when you are of this type of player. And I think it is a system that from the get-go, even though it's pretty dense and quite difficult, like not necessarily the easiest to wrap your head around the first try, it really sets out from the outset kind of like, all right, we're bringing you into a narrative styled game. These are things you should think about. Here's how you should think about, should consider, not even how you should consider in your narrative structures. And, Mare has been an incredible GM in terms of help. Again, this is a cast of mostly first-time players. I think that is something that's not necessarily very well known to perhaps the audience, but most of us are playing this game for the first time. And, Mare is able to kind of like facilitate a lot of the strengths of each of the players and the stories that we want to tell. Because even with Ishmael, I came into the character creation going, I want to create someone who's hot. I'm feeling that this is his aim. I'm feeling like this is his goal. Very, very vague things. And Mare is able to kind of facilitate that. And reading through the mechanics of the book going, calls upon the serpent, iconoclastic, made me go, all right, who is the person I'm creating, really? Because even saying if someone's iconoclastic, what does that mean? So you want to take down something. That means that person has a drive to do something. They're not just, there's an action behind them. And, so as you think through all of these things, you're able to really create a well-rounded, 3-dimension, complicated character with the mechanics of a game, which I don't know if other systems can necessarily say that from the outset, so yeah.
I know this isn't for me, but just to like piggyback off that, what I like about the Invisible Sun system and Cypher 2 technically is like, unlike D&D, you're building your mechanics except for like the background. You're building a person with your character sentence. and that's what I really like about it. So
Yeah, as I recall from our game, that's one of the coolest things about this is making that whole person, which actually is a great lead in to this next question, and that was, oh no, I lost it. Oh yeah, and I feel like this is for everyone, including Mare. How much disaster energy, TM, was planned, or did it all just like come about naturally? So like, you know, did you build your character and you were just like, ah, yes, this is going to be a shipwreck?
spoiler, I asked this question. I want to know how much you planned.
Oh, okay, so I guess it's not for you then.
I can try and come up with something, but I want to know how much y'all planned and how much came naturally from your own chaos energy.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is that if you put me, Hamnah, and Val in a room, it's gonna happen. I feel like that was intentional on your part, Mare, in the casting decisions, by the way, just to put us three in a room together, because that is just gonna be a stew pot of absolute fire. But I'll let somebody else answer the question for real first.
I mean, if you just go back to our For the Queen game, like just take that energy and then put it here. That's basically what happened, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I was literally just gonna echo the both of you. Also, the first thing I thought about was like, but Mare, you casted me, C, and Hamnah into this. I mean, this is like, but for real though, I feel like the cast, for me personally, in playing Ishmael, like, I don't think I planned any disasters with Ishmael. I think I had feelings of what was going to come out, but in terms of like how he interacts and interfaces with all of the other characters has been a lot of really, really good improv and facilitation from my incredible cast members and the energy they bring to the game and the table every single time. I did not think Ishmael and Alecto were going to have a bro relationship, but that's what's happening right now. I did not think that, you know, Ishmael and Hamnah are going to have this very interesting dance of words and feelings and sizing each other up. It's almost flirtatious in that sense, and I didn't think that was going to happen, but it just did, because we are who we are, and this is the energy we bring.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's a little bit different in that I did come into character. I think I remember saying this like during session 0. I came into character creation and I was like, I haven't played like a shit disturber type character in a hot minute, and I would like to. And so I did come in being like, okay, I will be creating chaos. I will be making all of like these wild decisions. So for me, some of it was planned, but I think the way in which that chaos has like manifested itself in the campaign, that is what surprises me. Like the one thing that I keep coming back to is that Roshni and Eleanor have this like tenuous, strained relationship, and I wasn't expecting that at all. Like I was not expecting that the main person who is butting heads with Roshni would be Eleanor. Like in my head I was like, oh, Eleanor's so sweet, they'll be like kind of nice, they'll be kind of friends a little bit. And instead, like Alex really surprised me with the way that they're playing Eleanor and like created this character who's gonna like put up a wall against Roshni, and like that was so unexpected. So like that chaos, not planned, that just kind of happened like as we were playing out different scenes.
To be fair though, she does have to deal with Emery, so she has experience.
That is true. Alecto, what I like to do when I make a character is I like to make a character, it's like a train, right? I'm going to do a train metaphor here. Just stay with me. And I know I personally have taken the train tracks and I have ripped them up. And I know that there's going to be a crash. And then I sit on the train as the campaign's going, waiting for the crash, and I cause more problems. That's my favorite way to play a character. So there definitely is some planned chaos. And I think I resonate with what you said, Val, about like planned feelings, planned disaster, planned intentionality, but also like the way in which it manifests, where I wasn't expecting, like I was like, I want to play a really hot curse night. I also wasn't super expecting to get into the gritty of like, oh, also because I was a knight, I've also like been through some fucked up like fantasy war, you know? So that was like an interesting like turn to take in that direction too, where in the moment I do just get to sit and be like and make choices. So I feel like there's a bit of both of like, yes, I have things planned to tear up my own train track. And also I will just see anything that I can use and use it in the moment too.
Planned feelings indeed. That's where I'm leaving it. There were a lot of planned feelings. And some unplanned.
Well, and as a GM, like you always have a plan. You have a plan. You end up throwing the plan out with the leftover food, but you had it. It was there. With that in mind, so like you guys came to this, you created your characters, and this says it's a follow-up question for Alex and Mare, but I would actually love to hear from all of you. How would you go about getting someone else to play Invisible Sun? Like if you had to describe and pull someone else in, how would you explain to them all of the everything that is involved in Invisible Sun? Because it's so different from D&D where you're like, I pretend to be a person who kills dragons. It's completely different. So how would you do that?
Oh god, I don't even know how to answer this question. Because I gravitate to people who would be interested from the get-go. And I grab them and just kind of drag them in.
So you're saying that Invisible Sun is just kind of inherently queer?
Yes.
Because that's our bubble. Our bubble is just the LGBTQIA. We just
yes. Give me a second to think. I'll let everyone else pipe in first.
As someone who is actively trying to get his friends to play Invisible Sun with him so I can get some practice in GMing in, the way I've been selling it has kind of been, here's the thing about Invisible Sun, right? When you take a look at the books, I feel like there's a huge intimidation factor in the way that information is presented. But if you were to hold this information and the book up to someone and go, this is a game that understands its identity, and its identity is truly things are limitless, and the boundaries of what this game can be for you is as far as your imagination is willing to go. Truly, it's in the abilities, in the kind of things that you in narratives you want to bring to it. And my biggest selling point to my friends who adore playing wizards in D&D, I say, you get to be fancy little wizards with your fancy little tricks, but you get to be incredibly queer with your skills. You get to be, you get to engage with so many other facets of interaction that you wouldn't be able to really necessarily get in D&D, which is a very, very combat-heavy system. So why not be gay and surreal with me?
I have come up with my answer, and I realize I have done this once or twice, and people have immediately gotten hooked. I show them the Art of Invisible Sun book, because if you haven't seen the art in the book, it's phenomenal. It hits so many different concepts like surrealism, just some of it's beautiful, some of it's horrifying, but it gives a really good vibe of what the system is about for whatever angle you're looking at. And I think at least one person off the top of my head has been like, I want to play this game now that I have seen this, because it's gorgeous.
I think Val did a really good job of describing, so I won't go too far other than to say like high fantasy, high narrative, surrealist, horror leaning slice of life. No, maybe not slice of life, but
is technically
sort of the like character driven story, I think, is better than slice of life.
Mm-hmm.
I also like to pitch the Sooth deck as a factor as well, because that's also different in this system than other systems. And personally, I really enjoy the like randomness that the Sooth deck like brings into gameplay. Yeah, I mean the Sooth deck like knows all, so who knows how truly random it is.
Itself.
But I like to pitch it as like it has like the game has like kind of a like a pseudo tarot card mechanic to it, and that adds to the interpretation of like different events that happen and things like that. So as somebody who enjoys that element of like randomness being thrown into stories, especially because of how much they can sow chaos in the story as well, like that's also something that I use to like talk to people about the system.
You're muted.
I'm sorry. The song came on. But there are some questions in here about like just the nitty-gritty, the chunkiness of Invisible Sun. And so we have one, for instance, where it says, are the off-screen happenings downtime between sessions, are those dictated by the GM or are they up to you? And I feel like, especially talking about the Sooth deck, that would be a wonderful place to put this. How did you feel, especially since I know that like there tends to be stuff between almost every single session that your characters are doing things. How did you feel with that? Was that like mostly just Mare, you know, saying here's your Sooth deck, whatever happened, or how do you feel it went?
Mare gives us a lot of autonomy and agency in a lot of the things that we do, both on stream and off stream in the developmental scenes. Mare's just that kind of GM. Mare truly facilitates the needs and desires and just power of the players and strengths that we have and what we'd like to do. I will say that the Sooth deck truly is coming from my jugular in particular. It loves coming after me in developmental scenes and hitting a theme. But no, I actually really enjoy that bit of Invisible Sun, the downtime, because, you know, with other systems like D&D and stuff like that, when you think about it, a lot happens within a span of a week or something like that. And you're just kind of like speed running through life, it feels like. Whereas, you know, with Invisible Sun, you're able to kind of just, incident happens in one of the days and the rest of the week, you go to work. You work in the Goetic Hall of Records for at least, you know, a day of your downtime. You need to go and study as a Visley. There are connections that you're trying to keep up, skills that you're trying to learn, people you want to spend time with. And honestly, it's something I really, really enjoyed, because even in those moments, you kind of figure out what kind of person your character is by how they choose to spend their time. Their free time, really. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's really great.
I think. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say there is another part of it of how did you, so like probably you as a player, decide how much to share from that. So now that we've got that basis of like this is how it works, how did you as a player decide what you wanted to have in game as like, I will express all of this, I will explain it, and what you were like, stuff happened, don't worry about it.
I think that's a better, that second part's probably better off for Hamnah. Stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I feel like Hamnah should take the floor now.
Oh no. Yeah, I guess I am the culprit. I do that a lot, don't I?
You do.
Yeah, so I mean, just to say like how downtime works basically is we just go to Mare after our sessions and say like, okay, here's a list of things I would like to do during downtime, and then what Mare does is they come back with like Sooth deck pulls for each thing that required, like that they determine like is significant enough that requires one. So they'll be like, okay, cool, you want to do like X thing, there's a chance of failure, let's pull a card for that, and they'll do that for as many of the different activities that you have planned. In terms of how I decide what to share and what not to share, so Roshni's arc is a little different, I feel like, than some of the other characters, in that like Roshni has a plan for what they would like to acquire, and the other PCs are not necessarily on board with what they want. Not to say that Roshni's goals are like antithetical to the group's goals. Like at the end of the day, they do all want the same thing, but I think the way in which Roshni wants to accomplish that goal is not the most ethical, I guess, quote unquote way of achieving that goal, maybe is the way to put it. I know, I'm doing it here too. That's the funny thing. In terms of like how I decide what to share, what not to share, I think it's a game that I play of would sharing this information help progress Roshni's goal, and the second question is, would it help progress the relationship between Roshni and this character right now in this moment in some way. So like, for example, Roshni went to speak to Ishmael during downtime at one point, and that information is not actually public knowledge to all of the other characters right now. Like, the players know that that happened, but the characters do not, because the conversation that Roshni and Ishmael had, there was information that was revealed, that Roshni revealed to Ishmael, that like they would prefer that the other characters just didn't know, for their own purposes. So like, I tend to reveal stuff more so to the players than to the characters, I think, just because I think it's fun to just tell people like, oh yeah, this happened, by the way. But in terms of the characters, it's more about like a slow reveal, I think, of information. So like things will slowly come out as it makes sense for the narrative. And like, I think just like what would cause the most interesting developments to occur is like the primary question that I ask myself in that.
I think I might actually go about downtime a little bit differently, which is I'm thinking about it also in terms of like an AP context. Like I do everything that I want Alecto to do off, like that like doesn't need to be on screen. Yeah, I think about it like also in terms of that, you know, of like what reveals do I want to have on screen? Because playing a character like Alecto, I think specifically, like they don't have a ton of secrets, you know, they have several big ones, but those are like things that kind of like, for me as a player, feel like they have to happen on screen. So I feel like I make specific choices about what I do in downtime, that it's like more like shopping episode stuff, or like setting up something that will happen on screen and is like things that are happening, like information getting, but that don't feel like super specific or necessary to actually progressing Alecto's arc or their storyline or their character. I always feel like I want that to happen like on screen almost like all the time. So in that way of like also like choosing what to reveal, I think usually I can't think of anything that, well, you did something to me, Mare, that was bananas, but that was not intentional. Like reveal wise of like everything that I want to be revealed, I think gets revealed in game, and anything that feels like kind of background noise comes in the background. So I don't feel like I need to hide it necessarily.
Very rarely will I probably should do it more often, but because I can, but very rarely do I go into people's DMs and be like, this happens to you during downtime. I think I've only done that like once or twice so far.
It's very reactionary. It's because you did this, this happened, not the other way around.
I think the letter to Roshni was the only one I'm thinking of at the moment. Like, you get a letter.
You just got a letter. Perfect. So you've started getting into some of your characters and their motivations, their wants, their needs. Like, what was that moment when your character clicked for you, when they finally just made sense in your head of like, oh, this is the person they are, this is how they do? If you had that moment, you might still be searching for it.
I have an answer for that, actually. For me, it was the IMRP that I did with Mare before the whole like AP even started. Because to start, Mare had offered to us like, hey, if you have any like scenes or like backstory things you want to play out before we actually start the game, like let me know. And I like jumped on that because I was like, oh, that's a really good way to like practice playing this character and just to see like what did they feel like, what are their tics, what do they want. And honestly, that was super, super, super helpful for me personally in like solidifying my idea of like the way that Roshni behaves and like what are their motivations. Because I got to play out like the most pivotal like event that happened to Roshni with Mare in IMRPs. And actually having that to reference back to has been really useful for me, because sometimes I'll just go back and I'll reread it and I'll say like, okay, like how does Roshni interpret these events having happened to them, and how did they feel about that, and how is that informing what they're doing now? So for me, just having that as something that like I can always look back on has been super helpful.
This is a hard question, and I feel like I am sort of stumped about it, but I think the first thing that came to my mind was the Blue Royal episode, actually, which I feel like is interesting for Alecto. Because I think that I had been setting things for them, but I feel like it's almost the moment where your character does something that you don't expect, that you understand them more. And I think that was the first time that Alecto did something where I was like, I'm gonna bet against Terran, actually. Like I'm gonna take that risk, and I'm gonna claim I'm gonna go for the jewelry, like that's what I'm gonna do. That I feel like that was a really pivotal moment in understanding like who Alecto was and how they take risks, because I think all of the characters that I make inherently take risks because risk drives story for me in my mind. But like how they do it and when they do it and why they do it, I think becomes like that pivotal character moment for me. And I think the Blue Royal episode was when I first saw that from Alecto.
This is a very hard question, but I am going to do this like a lawyer, and I am going to talk about Ishmael in the context of being a lawyer, and that is talking about the outer structure of legality, but so the outer structure of Ishmael and the inner structure of Ishmael. And the moment where the outer structure of Ishmael really came through was through my conversations with Mare about building this character, because this character started off as, I wanted to explore the inherent queerness of being a little bit in love with your friends. So from the beginning, I kind of was just like, this could be platonic. And then, I did though, legitimately though, I did though. and then it grew, and then it transformed to something else, and I got to kind of like build the outer structure of Ishmael that is someone incredibly prim and proper, someone who is driven, who is ambitious, who has charisma. And that outer structure, that moment happened in, I think there was one particular conversation with Mare, but we were just going back and forth over Ishmael's construction, and I had that moment of like, this is who Ishmael is. It is the bluster, it is the charisma, it is the gravitas. This is Ishmael. The inner structure of Ishmael, I think, came in and kind of echoing C here, and it was a moment where I had a moment where I'm like, my character is going to do something I didn't think they're going to do, but it's going to happen because it feels right. And that is also in the Blue Royal episode when Alecto came to Ishmael offering a deal. Because in my mind, Ishmael is someone who is incredibly shrewd, analytical, and is a goetic. So deals and contracts are something that he enjoys, and as far as he understands, would probably get the better end of the deal in comparison to Alecto, just using power of language, which is what I thought was how he was going to respond. And then I had a thought about how he views friendship. And the card that came up for that particular moment was the Misunderstood Beast, if I remember correctly. And I just had a moment where I thought, what if Ishmael sees before him a misunderstood beast? And that was kind of
How are you doing this to me right now? What the hell?
But that was the moment where I felt like a huge part of Ishmael finally clicked. And that is what hides behind the bluster. And it is someone who actually really, really cares. Maybe a bit too much.
I don't know if you saw my comment in chat, but I said I thought you were going to say the internal structure of Ishmael is disaster.
I mean, you're not wrong, but...
Column A, column B,
I mean, I'm a disaster for Kieran, it's fine. Everyone else can have the distinguished.
So with all of that in mind, it also turns the spotlight over to Mare.
Oh, hi.
When did you feel that your party had that narrative click? Either like the party with the story, or the party with the world. Like when did you feel that this is how it is?
Honestly, I think it was in session 1 after the jewelry was stolen. I think you all kind of just like converged and aligned and were like, maybe not immediately, but like that was the start of like, I knew this group is going to work together very well. It was just like, I could see this working, and it's turning out great. You muted yourself again, my dear.
I turned it off. It has been, and you're always so wonderful with pulling a group of seemingly very different characters together, and especially weaving all of those narratively. It's always chef's kiss.
A part of that, though, is a lot of the work we all do before the campaign even starts. Trying to figure out how everyone knows each other, and this is a little bit baked into the how the game is run, but like neighborhood creation, we all try to figure out like if there are any connections between everyone, how do you know each other? And I put this in any of my games, but it really does make that first session less awkward, because sometimes you all meet at a tavern, but there's more drive to and reason to stay together if there's connections that are already pre-existing.
I agree. And like that actually, like, we do have a question that kind of speaks towards that. And it says it's for the GM, but I feel like anyone can probably answer this as well. It says, is there lore coming out about Shadow, or is there context I'm missing for the backdrop of the show, since I'm new to the world of Invisible Sun? So like, is all of this just straight out Mare's brain? Is it all in the books? How does that work?
I'm gonna read that question super quick. So just as I think there might be just, I don't know if anyone, since it doesn't sound like you know the world very well, Shadow is the setting's way of saying, hey, this world, like the world you are in right now, sitting in front of a computer or a phone watching this, which is technically all a lie. And the actual real world is all the other suns that you live in. So the setting of Saturn and Indigo. A lot of what I am pulling is from the source books and setting guide. The Path is part of the 4 main core books, which tells you about the world and everything like that. And I also pull a lot of information from one of the supplements called Secrets of Silent Streets, which gives a little bit more in-depth about the city itself. And that's where I mostly grab everything, pulling from a couple other source books as needed, like the Snart or the Forgiver of Fault and stuff like that. When I need to, unless we all plan on going sun jumping, which I don't plan for this campaign. But it's mostly from Monty Cook game source books, unless I'm just pulling something out of my ass about an NPC.
So also to speak to that, like there is character creation in this particular game where you sit down, you make that neighborhood, you make NPCs that you already know, and so you are creating. So some of the things that you are hearing in game is lore that is explicitly in the book. Like this might be a setting that is in the book, but the actual shop was created by Mare, or was created by Alecto, or was created by Alex's character. So some of it's lore and some of it's real, and that's, or canon, I guess, would be. So those are just some of the fun things with Invisible Sun.
Like, for example, the fridge in the first episode was made during our neighborhood creation session by the group. And that is not in the source books. But this is also part of the mechanics.
Speaking of that beginning, that creation, I do have 2 questions here. First of all, has your character's motivation or goals changed at all since you first started the campaign? Like when you start, so for those of you who are new to Invisible Sun, you actually tell your GM, like, this is the main goal. And that is something that at the end of every session, you say, yeah, I moved closer to that goal, or I didn't move closer to that goal. I think there can even be like you got further away from that goal, and that gives you a despair, right?
No, you just don't get your acumen for that session.
You just don't get acumen.
If you fail your goal in like your final like completion of it, you can get a despair and you don't get a joy. So just a heads up, future. When we get closer to the end of the campaign, y'all, I'm going to be asking you, are you okay with failure for your arc? Better start thinking about that. Oh God, Val's face.
Whoopsie doodle, despair.
The one that has the most stake for their arc right now, in my opinion. Yeah, start thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Have your characters' motivations or goals changed since the beginning of the campaign?
Or have you gotten any new ones?
It's a really interesting question, I think, because without giving too much away about what Alecto's arc is, I set them up on an arc that I don't think that they would want to move towards, or the way that they think about achieving the arc is not how I actually want them to achieve the arc. That's a very convoluted way of saying that they are on a path that they think is bringing them towards point A, but I, as the player and as a storyteller, am moving them towards a different goal, so to speak, or a different way of talking about the same thing. That's a complicated way of saying that, but that's all I've got.
I think Ishmael's more of the latter that Mare has mentioned. I don't think his main goal or motivations have changed. I think that is going to be a key part of his character for as long as he remains upon the storyline. That will be his goal. But I think there are now additional considerations that he's putting on board, and that is I feel safe in saying that he is realizing that there are people that he would like to uplift on the way there if he could.
For me, it's interesting because, again, also similarly, without going into too much detail about what Roshni's arc actually is, I actually started out the campaign not knowing the specifics of Roshni's goal. I only knew the overarching nebulous idea of what Roshni's motivations were. I came in being I want this kind of a story, but I don't really know yet what specifically I want that to look like. And it's been really fun for me personally to just play out the game because I now know what the specifics of that goal are for Roshni, and I didn't know that in episode 1. But as we've been playing out, I've had ideas come up through scenes that I've done with other players or through downtime activities and things. Ideas that I'm wait, I think actually this is a really good way to bring about Roshni's arc and bring about their goal. And then I'll just message Mare at ridiculous hours of the night and being okay, I have an idea. Can we make this work? And usually Mare is yeah, let's pull a card, or let's do this scene, let's do X, Y, Z, and let's make it work. And that for me has been really fun.
And then of course, are there any NPCs that might have changed out of curiosity? Their goal initially when you made them, when they came into the story, was X, and for whatever reason that's changed now to Y. Are there any like that? Mare?
Let me pull up my NPC character list because I was making it for another reason. NPCs.
Just seeing who you can kill off.
Yeah, I was honestly not expecting Taryn to do what they did, and because I've been always trying to figure out how they view Roshni and after everything that has happened between the two of them, and how I've been going back and forth on it. Are they an actual antagonist? What are they doing? So that's been up in the air the entire time, and it's interesting, let's put it that way. And I don't think they ended where I thought they were going to, based off my personal feelings and how I think they would react. And everyone else is kind of where they are at the moment, either just living their life, or their goals are continuing towards the finish line.
In that way, I'll say that I am looking sideways at Rafi, who is the tigerless stripes that owns the building that Alecto's shop is in. I just have a feeling, just some specific card pulls and reactions that made me go, huh. I'm sorry, what? That it continue to baffle me, but continue to not necessarily be relevant. But just so you know, Mayor, I am looking at them, and I said, I need a landlord, just generally speaking. And you were like, okay, have this. And I feel like you've done something.
It's a cool character.
You've done something, and I don't know about it yet. At the
Rafi's
minimum.
cool.
I'm looking at it, though. I am looking with suspicion.
So speaking of suspicion, here's one, and I'm going to put rules and stipulations around it. It says, what is one word you would use to describe the chemistry between you and the cast? Here's my stipulation.
The cast or the players?
It says you and the cast. So in other words, for each of you, it's to everyone, Mayor, as well as the players, like the whole cast. My one stipulation is that you are not allowed to explain that word, and it must be only one word. We're not doing hyphens or anything like that.
Sorry.
Think on it.
Unhinged.
Okay.
My word is fight.
I love it. As an Aries, that speaks to me personally in my soul.
Sorry, I'm thinking in a completely different language. Just give me a second to translate it in my brain.
Can
I
you
will
say
say
it in
if-
Hindi first? I would
Yeah,
like
if-
to hear it.
It's
Like,
a
if you
Tamil
have
word.
Oh, damn.
It's a what word?
It's a Tamil word.
And also, like, if there's one where you have this word, but there's not a direct translation, like, you can, it's still one word.
No,
What's the
it is.
translation?
It's. I actually no, I do have a good translation. Kismet.
God, I'm sorry. My first thought, but it really is more towards the PCs and not the players, was horny. Sorry, y'all.
Okay, that's your one word. Congratulations, Mayor.
I'm sorry.
You did it.
Unhinged. Fight. Kismet. Horny.
Horny.
Welcome to the Soul's Confidant, everybody.
Yeah, this is like, can we just use those as the tag words
Yeah, sure.
in each stream? Yeah.
Sure.
Getting, you know what? As long as we're doing silly ones, yeah, this one. If you were trapped on a desert island, which one character, either PC or NPC from the campaign, would you bring with you? You're trapped on a desert island. You don't know how long you're going to be there. Which one character, PC or NPC from the campaign, would you bring with you? And this is for all.
This is so easy for me. It's Alecto.
My answer too. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Obviously.
Okay, it's also kind of my answer. Also.
Well, it's not my answer. I have one of two. One of them is Terran, because they can make water, fresh water, as an NPC, and they kind of have their shit together. And the other one is a character who y'all have not met in game. The only one who knows of them very well is Gonah, which is Cicero, because he also has his shit together.
Okay, wait, but
They have
of the
all
PCs,
of their shit together.
okay.
Oh, I thought
of
you
the
said
PCs,
Of
of the PCs.
I thought it was PCs or NPCs.
It was PCs or NPCs.
No, but I'm
This is
curious.
our
Of the
follow-up
PCs. Yeah, this is
Okay,
us.
that's fair. Of the PCs, yeah, it'd be Alecto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, see?
Yeah.
Because
Now I
because
want to
you
know
would
your
like to die
answers.
happy. We'd
Now I
like to
wanna-
die happy.
Yeah. I want to know your answers, though, for an NPC. Please say Yasser. No, no one's saying Yasser.
Kiran.
Okay.
What do I want Yasser to do? Talk my ear off while we're stuck on a desert island?
No, absolutely not. You won't be lonely, at least.
Yeah, but I can have Kiran, who's at least nice to me.
I pick Emery. It would be entertaining at the very least to have Emery around.
Totally.
Plus he's a good cook, so he can make
is.
all the meals.
He is.
I was kind of thinking Emery also, just as like a fiery presence to who also they're a book wizard.
Vance.
He's
A Vance, yes, a Vance. So that does mean some kind of articulation of the brain potentially, but with enough chaos to get us off. I feel.
Oh,
He's an
Emery's.
accountant.
I mean,
remember?
and by
He
get
is. He is.
that was a poor choice of words for me. I'm sorry. To get us off the island, let me just.
He's very smart. He just doesn't
yes,
act
and
like
see.
it.
Yes, and.
You know what? See, as long as you're having a moment, there is a question that is specifically for you. What are some curses that you've come up with for Alecto that just haven't appeared in the campaign yet?
Oh, this is a delight. I have an entire page of my character sheet that is dedicated to shit in Alecto's shop that we have never really talked about.
So good.
There are a few things. I think some of them have come up already, but I think my favorites are an earworm that would be a worm that gets placed underneath your enemy's pillow, and their least favorite song will be stuck in their head for the rest of the day. That's one. There's also one that's called the cut strings. I think this was maybe in the pre-recorded session with Roshni, but it is a violin that has cut strings on it. And a rival musician can play the cut stringed violin thinking of their enemy, and that person will lose their ability to play. But if the violin does not like the song that you play, you will lose your own skills. So it's kind of a risk and reward situation. There's also an umbrella that causes the bearer to cry uncontrollably when it rains, to be given as a gift. I like that one a lot. Let's see. I think those are some of my favorites. There's also the odor of pain, which is what I called it, which is a heinous, undetectable smell of meat encircles the victim, and animals and beasts are drawn to the smell, hungry and incensed for food. Those are some that I could go on, but those are my favorites, I think.
Any killing curses in there?
None of your business, Mare. Wouldn't you like to know?
I
I
would.
feel like that's all of Mare's business.
There actually are not. Alecto does not have any killing curses in their shop.
Very cool, very cool. I have no doubt that Carousel would be very interested to walk through this shop. It would be cool. So we have one more question before we go to break, and this is for all of you. And I hate that I have to say it, but it was submitted, so there you go. What is the least conventional food item you and or your character would consider to be a sandwich?
Pot pie.
Pot pies do count as sandwiches, as I have defined them.
And because Alex is not here, I must give you the definition of a sandwich. Has to have a top and bottom of a substantial carbohydrate, and then anything in between. I will get a full definition at some point, but if I don't clarify this, they're gonna kill me.
I feel like this is something that you should have as like a chat command of like exclamation point sandwich, and it'll have Alex's specific definition pop up.
I've just dealt with this too much already on so many of my own games with them.
I'm somewhere between a baked potato and a steamed bun. Like
A baked
either of
potato?
those.
It's just that's all
Like if you
carb.
like cut it in half and then you put like
Oh,
You make
butter.
the
This is
boat.
why I
in the
hate
middle.
this question. This is
Boat.
like
a baked potato.
a baked potato boat. You put stuff in it. It's
Like bacon and cheese and sour
I don't
cream.
like the answer either. It's my least favorite answer.
I'm DMing Alex right now.
Thank you, Shadow Sylvia, for the exclamation point sandwich.
I think I need that break now.
After you answer the question.
You have to
baked
answer the
potato.
question.
Baked potato.
After baked potato, I can't. Oh my god. I don't know.
You know what? A sushi burger. Because it's rice, and then it's got like stuff in it.
Is that
You're
your
gonna
answer?
say that to me.
I'm gonna
You're
say
gonna
that.
look at me and say that to me.
I will look directly into your eyes and say
And now
that
we cut
to
to
you.
break where we all fight each other viciously.
Do you remember my keyword for for our dynamic?
Wait.
Both Ishmael and I hate this question. I need everyone to know this. In canon, Ishmael hates this question.
Fair. No one said you had
But-
to like it.
This has been
but
noted.
I will say curry puff, which is a Malaysian / Indonesian snack, which is kind of like a carbohydrate package, kind of like a dumpling, like a fried dumpling, and inside is curry and chicken or any other or potatoes, whichever you'd like. It is delicious. But I'm gonna say that because I have to give an answer, not necessarily because I believe it to be true.
Perfect. And with that,
Wait, did
we're
Hamnah
going to-
answer?
Damn it! Why'd you gotta do this to me, Mary? I didn't want to have to answer.
Almost got away.
I
You
was this
almost got
close.
away.
I was this close. Oh no. Okay. Okay. I guess my answer will be. Do people know what pizza pops are?
They sound
It's like a
good.
calzone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calzones are sandwiches.
Calzones are sandwiches.
They're not, but it's my answer.
We'll argue this next time Alex is online because they can debate this better than I can.
Perfect. You'll just have one session of Alex explaining what a sandwich is.
Listen, on more than one
Uh,
occasion, I've asked Alex if they wanted to guest as themselves as a shop owner that it only sells sandwiches but are not your traditional sandwich in Invisible Sun.
That'd be pretty great. But for right now, if you'd like to, in the chat, you can give your own examples of what of the least conventional sandwich materials are, and we will be back after this break.
Bye, friend. Hey, we are back. Gonah, take us away, please.
Hello and welcome back. I hope that you were able to fight several people about what is and is not a sandwich. But for now, we're going to focus on the questions still at hand. And I do have one that is for everyone. We talked a little bit about the fact that side scenes exist and that you kind of do them like on Discord with Mare and possibly even with other characters. What is a side scene that you did off stream that you really enjoyed? Now, I understand that some of you, for whatever reason, don't feel that you can reveal all of your secrets to your fellow cast members.
Called out.
So, what was a side scene that you did off stream that you really enjoyed that you feel like sharing?
Can I go?
Okay,
first?
they're all looking at me.
I was gonna say I can go first if you want me to.
No, it's okay. They're all looking at me. I think Cassie knows my answer. It's the one that Roshni and Alecto did. Actually, is my favorite. There's a side scene that was done post Blue Royal episode, and it took place like literally right after the episode like ended. So for those of you who may have forgotten, basically what happened at the end of that episode is that Roshni and Alecto went back to the Christmaker's shop, and like Roshni spent the night there. And this was like during the whole like episode where Roshni had taken the like apathy emotion leaf, and so they were kind of having a time TM. And during that like side scene, C and I basically just played out like what happened that day, like at the shop. And Yeah, I don't know. I will let C talk about it if you'd like, about the scene. But it was my favorite because I think it was kind of like the catalyst, I think, or like the first sort of scene really where Alecto and Roshni kind of had a tender moment because they've never had an experience like that together on stream before. So that was kind of the first time that the two of them got to have sort of a little bit more of a walls down kind of interaction with each other, and it was really sweet.
Yeah, I love that you just threw that right back to me. It's really, I was like looking at you, like ready to throw you under the bus. You threw me right back. Fight is the correct word here. Yeah, that's also my answer, is the side scene between Roshni and Alecto in the Cursemaker shop after that, where it's really gay, but like it's also like gay in the way that I think that Val, what you were talking about, like the like there's like the inherent homoeroticism of like holding each other when you are hurt too, you know, and like just letting it be that, like taking care of each other as like a form of love and affection, which I feel like we really like got to delve into in that scene, like, and what Hamnah was saying about it being like really the first time that the walls do come down, you know, or that like they start to actually understand each other like just a little bit more. And there's like it does feel like the moment of pivotal shift in like what their relationship can be or like is. And it was really fun. That was definitely one of my favorite scenes. I'm also really excited for I think a scene that Alecto and not Val, Ishmael are about to have also. So looking forward to even more side scenes. So simply looking at it, but that was also definitely my favorite.
That is a perfect piggybacking point because I am very, very keen on that, but it has not happened yet because I think that would be a very, very interesting scene. And I think there's going to be a lot of very interesting choices that's going to come out of that. But my favorite side scene up to this point is the side scene I did with Roshni, Hamnah, because we kind of play a little bit as characters, Ishmael and Roshni, with the kind of like, I'm trying to find a good word for it, but just kind of like the fieriness, for lack of a better term, between them. That it is this tenuous little dance almost. I feel like Ishmael and Roshni are dancing the tango right now, and they're waiting to see which one fucks up first. Who's going to reveal themselves a bit more. And that side scene that we did, I think, was a very, very good IMRP, was a very, very good illustration of that tango, because we're sizing each other up. We're seeing who is willing to give up more information than the other, and then we see both of them do that. It's one of my favorites. It's up there. It's gonna be great.
On the topic of that scene specifically, I thought that was really interesting because I also kept getting messages from Mare, who can like see all of our IMRPs, and Mare kept messaging me being like picking out specific things that like I would say and being like, well, you're saying something very specific here, and like essentially like calling me out for withholding like specific information or telling half truths or like things like that, which I can imagine Mare was also doing to Val as well at the same time, like 100%. So I know that in that IMRP that like what Ishmael was telling Roshni was maybe not necessarily the whole truth either, and that they are both playing this dance with each other. And I like the way you put it of like seeing who's gonna fuck up first. Like that is very much what was going on between them, so that was really fun.
I just think that's the crux of it. Whenever I think of Ishmael and Roshni, I think of a tango, and we're just staring each other down. We're waiting to see who's going to fuck up first, and I can't wait to see.
Gonah, can you read me the question one more time?
So it is, what is one side scene you did off stream that you really enjoyed?
Okay, so I'm also gonna wrap this into developmental scenes, just because I've only done like 1.5 like side scenes, like actually like written and typed out. So I'm gonna pull this into developmental scenes, and if it's okay with you, Gunnar, I'm also gonna pull this into my favorite card pull moment question.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a dual question. My favorite side scene / card pull moment was the one that I did with Ishmael when he was snooping around Kiden's apartment for more clues, because that's my favorite card pull moment. I'm going to explain why in just a moment, because for everyone else, can I talk about this, Val? Is this okay? Okay, so the card I pulled is the incriminating skull, which means disaster, discovery, evidence, connection, and friends and family. And the whole description of the card is essentially like there was a wrong revealed. It reveals a long buried wrong. Their friends and family miss them. Basically, it was Ishmael's relationship to a T and how they view Kiden and what's going on in the campaign right now. So that's number one. And number two, the way I went with this is the letter, this last entry in the journal that Ishmael found regarding Kiden and the relationship with the Yoon family. That allowed me to put a lot of things in motion, because it just how the card pull, like what it allowed me to do is give a lot. And a lot of things were added to the game and put into motion with that specific card pull in the journal entry. Kiden didn't know the Yoons until I wrote that journal entry and the card was pulled. So, more amazing things because of the Sooth deck and its powers, essentially. And that card did a lot for the narrative, and I love it a lot. And now this card is following Ishmael around.
I mean, as we all know, the deck is stacked. The deck knows. The deck sees all things and knows exactly where the story needs to go. So with that in mind, Mare just gave... Oh,
Val wants to say something.
It is following me around.
Like,
I might as well get it tattooed at this point with how much it's following me around.
I swear I pulled it like 2 or 3 times for you specifically, I feel
You
like.
you have pulled that card a total of 4 times for me.
Oh, you're keeping count.
Yes, because I know it's gonna keep coming up.
Jeez. F.
Just like get a tattoo like on your arm, and then each time it's pulled,
Val already
like,
got a
you do one
tattoo
more.
for the campaign.
Nice. Just put like a little tally mark each time it's pulled. But I apologize. So that was Mare's favorite card pull moment. What about y'all?
Wait, I have a second one. I'm sorry. It's tied between 2 of them. The other one was with C and Alecto on when C smoked some dank herb to get a vision of the future. And if you looked at the last session, that vision finally came through, and it allowed me to do time travel shenanigans.
It was a card pull that literally broke the fabric of time and space by accident. I didn't mean to do that, but it did.
This is me being
Those
curious.
2.
What card was it?
The fleeting moment.
Okay.
Yeah, it basically one of the game narrative options is something happens with time.
Okay, very cool.
Other than that, I think my favorite card pull moment in the campaign was getting the misrepresented beast, whatever that one is. The misunderstood beast for the conversation where Alecto asks Ishmael to do a summoning for them in exchange. I thought that was almost too perfect.
Yes.
I didn't even know that card existed. That was the first time it got pulled, and I was like, this is the perfect moment for this to get pulled. How dare you do this to me? So that was just fantastic. That was my favorite card pull, I think.
The cards hate me. That's just all I can say, really, is every time I try to do anything, the cards are like, no. So it's hard for me to have a favorite card pull because I feel like they're all just bad. A fun coincidence, though, is that when we were creating Taryn as a character, Mare did a card pull for Taryn, and I think it was like the Plague Doctor or something.
The doctor, yeah.
The doctor that got pulled, and that was like to help us come up with like what is Taryn like as a person. And then later on, when we were talking about like progressing further the story between Roshni and Taryn, Mare did another card pull and coincidentally pulled the Doctor again, which is just like adds to my feeling that these cards are not random. There's something going on here, but I like the idea of it coming full circle and like the same card getting pulled twice for the same character.
And it does make sense for this specific character anyway, because of the descriptive of the card itself. They can bring or heal, bring sickness or heal it, and it's just chef's kiss.
Oh, this is hard because there's two, and one of them Mare's already helpfully mentioned, which is the incriminating skull during the death scene, because that was the first moment that card got pulled, and it was Ishmael to a T, so that was definitely up there. But the one that I love the most is actually the card. I don't remember the one, but it's the one where you pulled. It's ice. It's the ice card. Yeah. In this incredible scene where Lillian goes back to Aunt Solara's house to obtain more information regarding books that was held by her parents, and one of the cards says we're enjoying a mini Groundhog Day moment with the imprisoning ice card, and just going through a weird time loop. We finally discover that there is Mare pulled a card called imprisoning ice, and I loved the way that they interpreted that and brought out the facets of the card, of this imprisoning, of this barrier and cold and almost kind of like a sense of barrenness around with it, rejecting us. And I just really liked how that translated into the narrative. I liked what we all did with it in this situation. I loved how Mare played it into motion by creating an entity made out of ice that didn't want us to deal with it. And it led to an incredible moment between Lillian and this ice entity with Ishmael. They're also able to kind of understand this entity, and just having that moment where Ishmael kind of just goes, "Do you not recognize the heir of your masters?" And having Lillian roll that persuasion, succeed, and then Umbra standing in front of her. It was cinematic masterpiece. Get me that as an animatic, please. Like, that is chef's kiss right there. A feast for the eyes, truly.
That would make a great animatic.
I think so. It'd be so cool.
There's so many things with Invisible Sun specifically that, especially because it's so narrative driven, and because there's some like just real messed up things that can happen in Invisible Sun, that they would be great animatics, because you can't get that with a live action. But these are some of those best moments. But also, as we all know, because it is narratively driven, there can be not so great moments. So if your character, not you as a person, but your character had one do-over in this campaign, like the time card was pulled, something, if they could do one thing over and change one thing, what would your character change?
Val, your face.
And Mare, if there is an NPC, you may also answer this question. You can't hide in your hood forever, Val.
I think everyone's answers have spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I think
everybody's answer has.
You do not have to say exactly what that do-over. Well, I mean, the question says like, what would it be? But just what is something you wish you could change? It doesn't have to be how it would change or why. Simply, what would it be?
Thing is, I know Val's. I know kittens. I mean, not kittens. I know Ishmael's. They're tied at the hip. It's fine.
So parameters for this question, is this like from session 1 to session current, or is this like entire character?
It's in the campaign. So anything from session from the moment that you first started role playing with Mare. from the beginning of the campaign. So nothing like, oh, in my backstory, I sure wish my family hadn't died. Can't do that. But as far as in-game, something that your character regrets.
Wow, this is really easy for me, and that parameter did not help me at all because it still happened in the campaign and it was in one of our sessions. So it's not technically spoilers.
We want you to hurt.
You all agreed to hurt in this game.
I know, I did consent to this. Enthusiastically even. Ishmael continues to regret even to this day and continues to replay this memory over and over again, tormenting him every night in a dream, that he wishes he never brought Kiran out that night when Kiran was taken. He wished he had confessed to Kiran sooner and never ever brought them out to that park.
Let's see. So this is such a hard question. Alecto. Alecto currently regrets asking Ishmael for help. It's not Ishmael's fault though. They wish they never asked.
I'm intrigued. Can't wait for y'all to talk.
I think one thing that happened in the campaign that Roshni regrets is, I think they regret the way that they did the conversation with Kiran. I think if they could go back and redo that conversation, they would have handled that a little differently.
For myself, I think the biggest, for this would be for an NPC, obviously, but Taryn regrets a lot of things, but there's not much they can do about it, specifically in regards to Roshni. So there's regrets, but they can't do anything, so they're just gonna wallow in regret. Which we've talked about a little bit in session and games and stuff, because of their curse. You muted again.
Oh, I hit the button.
Okay.
I love all of this. This is exactly what I come here for. We do have a question specifically for Mare. Who's been your favorite NPC so far?
Okay. So my favorite NPC to play is a couple, because NPCs are fun. I really like playing Emery, because I can just act like a shit and it's great. And I also like playing Teth, because Teth, I don't normally get really angry and interrupt my players, and I got to be angry and yell at Alecto, and it was great, and we had some great tension. It was a very fun scene. And even though I've only played this character once, how I twice mentally play this character, I love them a lot, is Kiran. And I can't wait till they come up more often and we get to see them, because just with the development I've done with Val about them is just, I have a clear image in my head on who they are and how they act and play, and I love them a lot. So I can't wait to actually play them as they are.
Perfect.
Yes,
So,
Angry Mare is terrifying.
I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. I hope to never make you angry. So Mare gets to play all of these NPCs and gets to shuffle between all different kinds of characters. What about y'all? If you had to play another player character, PC, which would you be the most comfortable switching to? If we just did like a, shake it up, roll the dice, who would you feel the most comfortable switching into their character headspace?
And who would you never play? Or don't feel like you could pull off playing is a better question.
For me, I think I would be most comfortable switching to playing Lillian, like April's character. The way that she plays out with like her lack of information and her like anxiety, it's almost kind of like the complete opposite of Roshni in a way, and I think that would be really really interesting to play out. And like I think that would be a space that I would be comfortable stepping into. One character that I don't think I could do any justice to whatsoever is Ishmael. I just don't have, I feel like, the charisma required or the like
Panache.
yeah, I just can't words the way that Ishmael words. Like I can't do it. So I feel like if you were to ask me to play Ishmael for a day, it would be a hot mess. It would not go well.
Wait, now I'm kind of interested and committed to us with body swap episode. Anyway,
It's Invisible Sun. We can do it.
I'm terrified, but I love it also. I think I would thrive getting to play Roshni, I think, because I am a creature of charisma and chaos. But I also really like to add layered depths to characters like that. So I feel like I'd have a lot of fun playing Roshni. Just getting to kind of go buck wild. I feel like I would struggle to play Eleanor, which is Alex's character. I don't do well with characters that are very quiet and reserved, even if there is some kind of back and forth to them. I think this is just my play style. I feel like I'd really struggle to like take the kind of deeply thought. I feel like everything that like Eleanor does is very thoughtful and comes from, it feels like Eleanor is playing the long game, right? And I struggle to get into that in my like just terms of play style, I think. So I'd struggle with that.
I would do very well playing. I could probably very easily play Eleanor or Lillian. If you mash those two together, it's kind of like a character I'm currently playing right now in a home game. As for characters I don't think I could play very well, for the same reason Hamnah did, I don't think I play Ishmael well. The gravitas I can't do. And also Roshni, I have a hard time playing Chaos Incarnate characters, and I don't think I could do their arc justice in general. So...
So with this, like you guys have learned so much about both yourselves and your characters. What was something that like through this campaign, something that surprised you about your own character that like you just weren't expecting?
Before we answer that, I kind of want to hear Val's answer to the previous question. I'm really
I
curious.
skipped you. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I thought I was gonna get away with it.
No.
I think a character that I could easily slip into the skin of would be Alecto. I've played, from what I can tell, there's a very similar vibe that Alecto has to Vihan, a character that I play in my D&D home game. And I think that realization came out when the Misunderstood Beast card was revealed, because that was kind of the vibe. And seeing last session's interactions, there's a lot of like themes in there that I really love playing: love, loss, futility, duality. And I think I said this in one of our debriefs before about let me be the monster that everyone says I am. And I love playing characters like that. And a character that I think I would really struggle in playing would be, it's a draw between, I think I could do Roshni in a pinch, but I do struggle with Chaos. But I think Lillian might be harder because, one, I have no idea what is going on over there.
Neither is Lillian.
Yeah, apparently. But there's I love knowing things as a player and as a character and having things that I know and have power and control over. And Lillian's quite literally a blank slate. And I think it takes a great deal of skill and understanding of subtlety to really pull off Lillian in a way that does her arc justice, and I don't know if I necessarily can do that as well as April does.
Thank you. So, like, as you have all gone through your campaign, you have seen things, you have done things. What is something that surprised you most about your own character? Something that you weren't expecting?
I'm surprised by how much Alecto wanted to be friends with the other PCs, I think. I was thinking like that it would be a lot harder for them to be able to access the other characters or want to access the other characters, but it happened actually in a really natural way that just felt right. You know, that I couldn't like actually deny them this because it felt more right than whatever idea I had about them being more standoffish than they are. Which I think goes into the misunderstood beast idea. That card really just that card got me. I think that's the most for me.
I agree. I really was expecting Alecto to take longer to warm up to the group, and I was super happy and pleasantly surprised after that whole conversation in the first session with Eleanor and how natural it came and how touching it was.
Yeah, that's basically exactly the moment that I'm thinking of like Alecto actually like clicking with Eleanor really, really hard and like just like developing that what felt like a really close relationship really fast. Or like that it had always been there, you know, but I as a player wasn't expecting it.
I think for Ishmael, a moment about him that surprised me is kind of twofold because I think they're intrinsically linked. And that is one, echoing C and Alecto, how much he cares and how quickly he does care. And linking to that, realizing how actually vulnerable Ishmael is, because I have, again, the outer structure and inner structure of Ishmael, and I had the outer structure planned out pretty well. Like I kind of had like mannerisms and how he would go about things and thoughtfully move about between interactions. But like seeing how he is able to bond with these characters and care quite deeply about them has opened up a lot of vulnerability for him. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that vulnerability is going to be echoed out. Part of it has already been echoed out with Lillian being injured. But yeah, that was really surprising.
This is for me really interesting because it's almost the opposite of like C's answer in that I am surprised at how lonely Roshni is. I think that wasn't something that I had like planned out with this character at all. Like I didn't have in my head this idea of like Roshni as somebody who like had struggled or was currently struggling with like building these close relationships, but I think in playing them out it very much does feel like that for me. Like it feels like of the group, I think if I had to guess who is like the weakest linked to everybody, it would be Roshni. I think their guard is up more than I thought it would be, and it like creates this really interesting wall between them and I think like all of the other characters that hasn't quite yet been like torn down right now. I think it's like getting there, especially with Alecto specifically, and like to some extent with Ishmael as well, given all of their like sort of the way in which the circumstances are pushing those two together specifically. But yeah, it's interesting because to me, like when I think about like why is Roshni with this group, like why are they doing what they're doing, the answer is Lillian. And that to me is surprising because I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting for Roshni to have this very tenuous relationship with everybody, and really the primary driving reason for them being involved in this whole thing is that they care about Lillian deeply. Lillian is somebody that they have a very close relationship with, and the other people are just kind of incidentally here almost right now in this space. So that sort of like loneliness and inability to like form the same kind of connections is what has surprised me personally.
God, it's so sad just knowing the background information too. It's depressing.
They have problems, that's all.
Problems, TM.
They may or may not have trust issues, it's fine.
I mean,
Okay, we all know that they do in fact have trust issues.
Massive trust
That's not a
issues.
spoiler.
We've been you. We've been you.
I mean, come on. You got to have a healthy amount of trust issues. You can't just accept any person to come into your lives, and yet you all have accepted all of these people coming into your lives. But there was always the chance that maybe you hadn't. If your PC was a villain, what do you think their evil plan would be?
Look, is Roshni not low-key a villain in this story already? That's the real question.
So I'm assuming this means more antagonists. So not just like I'm not doing the right things, more I'm working against the party and I want them to fail.
That changes nothing with
Oop, F and chat.
Roshni's statement, with Hamnah's statement.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Roshni's arc, the way that I'm playing it right now, it doesn't, necessarily, isn't necessarily like an evil thing with the group specifically, although, things are gonna happen, let me just say.
Oh.
But it would be so easy to change their arc to be a villain.
Oh,
villain's
so-
arc.
so-
They, Roshni is skirting that line, really hard. And so it would be incredibly easy to change their arc to be the antagonist of this story. Specifically, this is not a spoiler because it has been revealed in the game. Roshni doesn't have a soul, right? Their villain arc would be to acquire all 3 of the hand armors and then to take everyone's soul. That would be their villain arc.
Spin-off when?
AUN. Hey,
Yeah, an AU.
there is a mechanic in the Invisible Sun system called modalities, where if you want to play like your character but slightly different, you can use that mechanic and do things, and it's a little fun.
Wait, we can create an AU within the campaign?
Oh
is
no,
what you're saying?
modalities
No.
actually exist in the campaign.
So for
There are
instance, if
other
you have a
Roshnis
character
in the game.
Yeah, if you have a character who when they came back, maybe they didn't come back through the Hindasa. There might be another version of them out there. And whether they're active, reactive, that's kind of up to you.
Mechanically, it's meant to give the player the option to try out different mechanics for your character if you wanted to try something different. But in the lore of the setting, they actually exist in the actuality. It's
So what we're saying is the real villain of this story is an AU Roshni. All right, got
what
it.
if I fucking did though?
Mayor DM me. Mayor DM me. I'll play the villain. I'll do it.
Don't write me.
This feels like a very
villain modality question mark.
This feels very like if Seth were here, they'd say, "Bet you won't bet."
God, I'm gonna message them later. It's fine.
Yes,
I am
yes, please.
stressed. This is stressing me out.
This is
Welcome to Invisible Sun, where anything is
I want this to
possible.
happen. DM me. Let's make this happen.
I will
Oh
mull
my
it
God.
over. When I'm done planning out the rest of the last 5 sessions, I'll think it.
Can I
Valency.
can I get a re-go of that question, because that rocked my world so much that I need to re-listen to the question again.
If your PC was a villain, what would their evil plan be?
Okay, so this is interesting because I can imagine Ishmael very easily becoming an antagonistic force within the party, because he is, in my mind, incredibly shrewd, which is one of the challenges of playing him, is that I like to be very helpful and help my party, and be a good friend. Ishmael isn't. Ishmael is significantly far more capable of being an asshole than I am. And if he were to have a villain arc in this campaign, it would have to do with potentially losing someone very, very, very dear to him.
Losing their shit.
And if that were to ever happen, I don't think Ishmael is going to cope with that in a very, very good way. And I think the possibility of him being in terms of his villain arc, vengeance is quite palatable, I think, for whoever were to diminish his chances of fulfilling his mission.
To be honest,
yeah,
the first episode I thought that Ishmael was after vengeance. That's how I read that first episode, actually.
I'm
like
so
as
glad.
Alecto as well. Yeah, no, it was. I was like, noted.
So Ishmael is basically the meme where, like, don't you ever just want to go ape shit type of thing?
Yes. I mean that a moment came up quite literally with Alecto offering that deal. Like, in my mind, I entered into that. I don't know if you could see me as well in the call, bringing out my book, and I was already writing down particular language I was going to use to dig a hole for Alecto. And
fucking delicious.
Against it. Yeah, and then I decided against it because of the misunderstood beast card and just how the moment played out. So, like, it is within reach, I think, that villainous part of him. So maybe one day.
Can I just say,
Yes?
I would love to see this side of Ishmael, because we have not yet seen it. We have not yet seen Ishmael be that, like, shrewd, calculating, like, a lawyer man. And I would just like to see it.
You kind of did.
I would like to see it on stream.
On stream, yeah.
I would like to see I would like to see the vengeance when it comes out. I'd like to see it.
I don't know if y'all want to see the vengeance.
I want to see the vengeance.
Oh, I do.
You want to see
It
the
would be
vengeance?
so spicy.
Oh, I do. Oh,
I
but
just want
do.
Ishmael to come out and be like, "Am I the drama?
I'm the drama."
That is in his meme folder.
Yes. Oh my god. We have by the way, we do have, like, a little channel in our Discord for memes. It's
That is in
great.
his meme folder. But yeah.
I feel like Alecto's is pretty simple, which is that they would lean into being a murderer. They would be a killer. They would sell killing curses. They would make killing curses. And they would, I think, lose all... Like, not just let me be the monster they think I am, but let me become the monster I was always meant to be. Which feel different. And very, like, you know, low empathy, low, like, desire for contact, seeking revenge in any way, shape, or form, because pain is the only thing that feels good. That is, I mean, that's pretty just, that's the, I do love to play a villain, so that feels like a really, that's the first way to go down Alecto's villain arc. They also kind of toe the line between, like, who they think they are and who they actually are, and, like, how that changes. Even how they think of themselves also kind of as the villain, you know, still, currently, in a lot of ways.
May I ask you a follow-up question? Because I'm really curious. So, the way that Alecto's curse making works is that Alecto first has to take the curse onto themselves, right? And then they, like, put it into an object, like magically imbue it into an object. How do killing curses work in that regard? Wouldn't taking a killing curse just kill Alecto? Or, like, what are the mechanics around that? Have you thought about that?
Oh, Mare seems to have a face on, but, like, yes, and I think it's like a thing that's like it's like a race against the clock, you know, like they have to make the thing properly before it kills them, which probably in a villain arc would also just kind of make them feel alive, you know, like
the thrill of like almost dying,
of like keeping it like so that their pain, like that literally their pain becomes somebody else's. I think, like, that would be the angle to take in that regard. And also just one of the reasons why they don't have killing curses is because it's like a race against the clock and it's real close every time.
Yeah, if/when a killing curse comes up, it would be a race against the clock with checks and stuff.
I don't like that the word when.
I don't like the when.
Yeah,
I have
that word that
I
worried
do.
me.
I have a
I
scene
do.
in my head if a specific card is pulled. It's great.
Oh, I'm into
This
this.
is
I
terrifying.
want to see this.
No,
Hey,
we
Val.
can't have Alecto die during like the middle of the campaign.
You all
Val
agreed not to
wants
be
to
see it.
ghosts. You all agreed that you would not mind being ghosts. I remind you. Some of you. I can't remember who, but
Listen,
down with that.
I'm also ready. I don't want to die, but I would love a race against the clock. That
Alecto
would-
as a ghost?
I don't want to play a ghost. I want to live at the end, but I want to win the race against the clock.
better fucking win then.
But I would like, I know. So you all better help me when the time comes around.
I'm just
mean,
thinking of like how it would affect all of our arcs if Alecto turned into a ghost.
There are ghost
Just think
mechanics,
about that.
y'all.
Just think
There
about
are
that for a
ghost
second.
mechanics.
I mean, again, with the villain, the villainous arc for Ishmael doesn't need to be Kieran.
Oh no! Alecto ghost turns Ishmael into a villain.
Listen, all I gotta say is there is someone in Alecto's backstory that keeps trying to sell them killing curses. Constantly.
Pax, right?
Pax, yeah.
Wow.
Pax is a shit. Like I
Val
can't
likes this.
like I can't do the accent, but I keep imagining them with like a New York Brooklyn accent. So just imagine that whenever they come around.
Hey, I got some good curses for you. You wanna look into the box? The box
you.
of many curses.
Listen, buddy, I promise that none of these curses are gonna make you dead or whatever. I swear. I know we had it last time and it was a big deal, but it doesn't have to be a big deal this time. You understand what I'm saying
Thank
to you?
you.
We could just get along this time. Like, why are you looking at me like that? Like, you don't have to. Anyway, I'm done.
Thank you. That's all I
so-
ever wanted.
We had this of Ishmael, Roshni, and Alecto. What about two characters that I keep hearing? What about Kieran or Emery?
Oh, Emery.
If they decided to become the villain, what would their evil plan be?
Okay, let me think about Emery for a second. So Emery is a chaos child. Basically just doing whatever the fuck they want. Whatever, basically being chaos without regard to anyone. So this could be what consequences? I don't have two thoughts. I don't even have one. Let's go type of person situation, because right now he does have a conscience and everything. So if that was thrown out the door, there would be a lot of problems around the city. Not so much a villain, just a big fucking pest. Kitten, on the other hand, would be willingly working with their father. They would not be an apostate. And they would be hastening the end of what their father's trying to accomplish. What are you doing, huh?
That's
I
new
didn't know that they were
information.
apo-
Thank
that
you.
was new information.
Yeah, that's new information. We didn't know they were.
Which part?
That Kieran's an
Apostate.
apostate.
Kitten's an apostate.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
You
welcome.
You didn't know, but I think I've mentioned it to Val once or twice. But
I believe Ishmael mentioned it.
oh,
I believe so.
I don't think it was mentioned.
I've
as
seen
No, you never
apostate.
have. I would remember because I've
Yeah.
been looking for this information for a while now.
Yeah,
Because-
Kitten is an apostate.
Maybe I didn't say the word.
I don't- you
remember
didn't
we
use an
talked
apostate?
about interests.
I think you mentioned along the lines of they don't have an interest in some of the orders, and like maybe a specific order you mentioned, but it was very vague and broad. But yeah, Kitten is an apostate. I actually have a character sentence. Would you like to hear it? I'll give you some lore.
Lord dump, Lord dump.
Spicy lore.
Yeah, so Kitten's character sentence is an established empathic apostate who weaves stealth with sorcery.
That explains why they're so quiet. Okay.
Yeah, there's your little lore. Here you go.
That explains a
That
lot.
was delicious. Delicious. Thank you for the lore.
Yeah, I don't know if have I given any other NPC sentences to y'all?
I know Anya's.
Does anyone else know Anya's?
Here's
Yeah, go ahead.
just in order to like put a little order into this.
Sure.
What if each player gets to pick one NPC whose sentence they are allowed to know? So, like, for instance, if there is one that you want to keep hidden for game purposes, you can absolutely say no. But at the same time, like if we asked what is Cicero's sentence,
I don't have sentences for everyone, so I might be making some up on the spot. So sure, let's go.
Give me Avelia's sentence.
I fucking knew you were gonna say
Fuck.
that.
Okay. Avelia's sentence would be a I don't have a foundation because there's like a shit ton of them and I don't know them all off the top of my head. She would be a ardent. She is an ardent Goetic of the Order of Goetica who, let me look at all the fortes. Oh, this is going to become canon as soon as I fucking say it. That's the problem.
I'm sorry, we shouldn't have put you on the spot like this.
Oh God, it's fine. You know what? I'm going to pull it out of my ass. Dwells in darkness. I'm going to write these down for later.
I will be reading up on that forte later.
Sure, I'm gonna have to come up with something now, so. Okay, who's next?
I mean, I'm happy. I'll let you off the hook with this one a little bit, Mare. I'd be happy. You feel free to share Anya's sentence
Sure.
if you'd like.
Anya's a connected gallant of the Order of Makers who channels strength and skill.
I'm gonna be very nice and ask for Yasser.
Connected gallant of the Vancian Order who turns tales into reality.
Of course, they're
Tales into reality.
gallant.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It's so cool. Just tell stories and make reality bend to your stories.
Exactly.
Perfect. Awesome. So now that you know a little bit more about your NPCs, I'd like to know about your PCs. How are your characters feeling right now? You're right in the middle of it. So many things have happened. How is your character feeling right now? Before the next, like nothing has happened yet. What are they feeling right now after this most recent episode?
Extremely bad. Let me start with extremely bad. I should elaborate and use some more eloquent language. Extremely bad, comma, heartbroken, empty, distraught. Yep. There we go. That was good.
Those are some beautiful adjectives. Thank you.
Ouch!
You had 2 mental breakdowns, so it was expected.
I mean, Ishmael's last session include a penciled-in mental breakdown, so a scheduled one. Ishmael's also not feeling that great, and to elaborate a little bit more, he's traumatized, significantly traumatized, and even though he doesn't want to necessarily admit that that's what's happening, out of his depth, but incredibly stubborn. I'm not even going to say the word determined. He's just stubborn. And I think in addition to all of that, he is feeling very guilty about what happened with Alecto in the summoning. I think he feels like there might have been something he could have done, even though I don't think anyone who is watching that scenario could see anything that Ishmael could have done, but it doesn't stop him from feeling that perhaps there's something that he could have done to help. And yeah.
I'm going to quickly cut in because I forgot I have another supplement and I'm going to change Avelia's forte. I am changing Avelia's sentence to Ardent of the Order of Goetica who consorts with demons. Because there is another source book which I keep forgetting to give to my players. It's a little darker of a source book.
You're just doing this so I can't go look it up.
No, I'll show it to you if you want me to. Just remind me. I just keep forgetting about it. But if you want to see it, I'll show you.
I would like to see it.
Remind me later. Remind
But
me later.
on the topic of how Roshni is feeling right now, Roshni can't feel things the way normal people feel things, so that's a complicated question for them specifically. Yeah, Val very kindly illustrated that for us. But of what they can feel, I think oddly enough, Roshni is probably the one that feels, of the other characters, like probably the best right now. Like they're feeling, I think, hopeful to some degree, because from the last episode, Alecto offering to help them in a very significant way, them having the means to contact Avelia, and like all of these other things are just kind of like coming back into place, like getting help from Taryn as well. Like it may not be ideal, the scenario that they're in, but I think that there is progress being made, and that's making them feel hopeful. But at the same time, there's always this nagging emptiness and this desperation that I think permeates everything that Roshni does. They always are acutely aware of the fact that they are empty, that there is nothing inside of them, and that is something that they are constantly, desperately trying to change. And so I think that is kind of overshadowing this feeling, but they are hopeful that things can maybe change soon.
Meanwhile, Alecto at rock bottom.
F.
F in chat.
F in chat for Alecto, honestly. Last session was just like got a
Oof.
bat up, and Alecto keeps walking through the door and getting hit by this bat. You're literally the Wile E. Coyote where you get like hit by TNT, you walk and you step on a rake, and then
Yep.
get hit by a bat.
Yeah, just again, just keep it coming, Mare. Keep it coming.
I'm trying.
You get knocked down, but you get up again. They're never gonna keep you down. You'll get knocked down, but you'll get up again.
And you're gonna like it.
So that's how they're all feeling. What about theories? Do any of them have theories as to like why this is happening? What's going on? What are those background? These are your like, and these can be as like out there as you would like. What are your theories about what is going on? And this is actually characters. It says specifically to the characters, not to the players, to the characters.
I know Ishmael makes conspiracy boards, but I want to know about everyone else too.
To be totally honest, I think that Alecto as a character, and I've designed them this way intentionally, is thinking about the big picture, but they're not trying to force the big picture. They're thinking about the big picture in terms of being ready for the big picture, which to them only means that they have their sword on them and they know who they can trust. So in that way, I don't know how many like theories that Alecto has. Like they know that this Avelia person is fucked up and that they'll be slashing a sword at her if anyone wants them to. And they don't really know much beyond that, I think. Like, to be totally, they're like, okay, Kieran is who we want. Avelia who's who we don't want. King 9 is also who we don't want. We got to learn more. And that's like pretty much, I think, the depth in which they are committing to figuring out the story instead of being prepared for it.
Yeah, I think it's hard because like I as a person have many theories about what the heck is going on here. I think Roshni as a character though is, I don't want to say uninterested in the large picture, but I think their interest in what's going on kind of goes as far as how it can help them personally and how it can maybe help like Lillian, for example, like regain her memories of what's going on, because clearly this has something to do with Lillian's family and that seems important. So I think Roshni cares about what's going on to the extent of like trying to help Lillian regain her memories and like further that. But I think beyond that, like really, Roshni's kind of interest in this whole thing is more curiosity than anything else. It's about wanting to learn about, because Roshni hoards secrets, right? Like they dabble in information. That is the currency that they work with. They don't have a job, is what I always say. Like, I remember in character creation we were talking about, like, what do our characters do for a living? And I was like, Roshni does not have a job. They work on barters and favors. That is how they live their life. And so I think for them, this is really just another case of, like, this is information that they can leverage. And so I don't think they have, like, theories so much as they're just trying to learn as much as they can.
I'm gonna have to apologize to everybody as well as the viewers at home. I'm currently in Scotland, which means my wonderful board with Ishmael's canonical conspiracy board is not in front of me. So I have to work off of this from memory and distill what my theories are and what Ishmael's theories are.
I mean,
which
why didn't you
is
just
hard.
drive to Scotland with the conspiracy board? Like, I feel like that would have fixed all of this.
I can't drive in the UK. I took a plane.
Just like riding on a plane just with this whole ass board, like moving.
Don't worry about it.
You can't do push pins, I guess. So like just moving little strings to all of the places.
I'm trying to think what theory. He has a lot of thoughts that I'm trying to distill from my own. Based off information that he received from one of his contacts, who is yet unnamed in the main campaign as streamed, Ishmael's theory is that Kieran's dad, Mr. Asra, King 9. Mr. Asra, please, can you let my friend go? Please?
Can you please call him Mr. Asura when you see
I mean, it depends, Mare. If
You gotta call him Asra Uncle.
Oh my god.
Hard in the paint.
Asra Uncle, I want to establish Rishta with your child, please, and don't worry about it. Anyway, sorry. I was joking with Mare at one point off stream about how maybe one of the ways Ishmael would jokingly take Kieran away is to be like, I just want to marry your kid and we'll be out of your hair. Just leave us alone. But that would be assuming that Ishmael is incredibly romantically interested in Kieran, but they're very, very good friends.
Very good friends. So good friends.
They're so platonic and such good friends. Anyway, his theory, back on the topic at hand that is important, is that his contact provided him a description of King 9 as gangster at best, ontological terrorist at worst. And his gut feeling, his theory, is moving significantly away from gangster and into ontological terrorist. He is afraid that this is not just turf wars. This is not just tantrums. This is coordinated. This is dangerous, and is going to just affect everybody. And that's one of his theories. His other theory is that Lillian's parents are in something. I can't find a good way of phrasing this right now, but they're in something very weird. He does not think they're necessarily hidden, but he does not think that they're dead either. He thinks that there's some Visley bullshit relating to them, and that Visley bullshit that's happening with the parents is specifically linked to Lillian's amnesia.
Okay. That all definitely made 100% sense to me, who hasn't seen a single episode yet. I am going to open up the floor. Like, do any of you have questions for each other? Or have you've already answered your own questions? You know what's up with everyone else.
I just want to know what everybody's whole deal is. but I know that y'all won't tell me, so.
Everyone's whole deal is they're hot.
Yeah. Without any doubt.
Yeah, actually, Alecto is a completely one-dimensional character, and their one dimension is this hot piece of paper. So
Yeah.
Ishmael
That's it.
too.
Perfect. I mean, that checks out. That's from what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Everyone's hot. Yep.
With that, we have one final question before we'll get to like everyone saying their goodbyes for now. And that is, what is your favorite moment or scene in the campaign so far? And this, this might change by the end of the campaign. It might stay the same. But what was a scene that it's so good? Your favorite?
Gosh, so fuck. It's all blending together. That's the problem.
I will make the addendum that if you want, this can be something that happened off official stream, or it can be something that happened on stream.
Don't mind me going through all my notes.
I know what my favorite part was. My favorite part was like, I think last week, when apparently y'all got to see in the living room of Carousel and Set, as they were just having a good time. And you know what? You have the hots for one moth, and you get known as that one thing for the rest of the campaign, the rest of your life. You're the moth guy. You're the moth.
Yep.
You're the moth person.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's me. That's me being self-centered. How about y'all?
I have one, but of course I have a lot of them, but this is one that I just really enjoy. Two. I enjoyed the very first scene where I introduced Kay, because they are a sweet bean, and I hope we get to see more of them. And just, I enjoy playing sweet characters and like showing them off to people. But my other favorite one was the big reveal flashback scene with Alecto, with the memory keeper. This is more so just me being proud of how I played it. May or may not have monologues in the car on the way home with that scene.
This is such a hard question.
So hard. The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. I really like to play dramatic. I'm also going, I think I'm also trying, I'm viewing this as my favorite scene to play, I think. Is how I'm kind of taking the question. My favorite scene to play, I think, because I like to go really hard and really dramatic, was the scene, Anya's ghost summoning. And I think also the fight scene, because I love to fight. And I love to be really good at it, and Alecto is really good at it. So it was really fun I really, really liked I think the demon fight and the ghost summoning were my favorites.
I think for me, one of my favorite scenes to play, I don't do well with favorites in general, so this is a very difficult question for me, but I think one of the scenes that I really enjoyed playing out was the one with Kirin. Being able to just like play Roshni in a way that wasn't necessarily like moral or like good, quote unquote, was really fun, because I don't think that they get a chance to sort of like do that with the group, but being away from the group for a little bit and being able to sort of play that other side of them was really fun for me as well. I think it was a chance for me to flex sort of that side of Roshni that I know exists, that I know is something that they do more often when they're like acquiring people's secrets, for example, and when they're, leveraging all the information that they have. But obviously with the group, they don't necessarily want to do that to these people that they have like started to come to like care about. So you're not really going to see them engage in that way with this group necessarily. So it was interesting to be able to like do that with an NPC.
Gonah, you're making me choose between my children, is what you're doing.
As a writer, I've always been told to kill your darlings.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna do the lawyer thing. I'm so sorry. That's just who I am now. My favorite moment to play in, and specifically for Ishmael's arc, was the flashback scene with Mare playing Kiran, the confession. And my favorite reason why is because Mare played that perfectly. Flawless. It was beat for beat exactly what I expected, exactly where, and even lots of bits that I did not necessarily expect, like where the interruption for the confession, because for folks who are at home, I wrote out an actual script that Ishmael in canon would have written for this confession and sent that to Mare, and I told Mare, interrupt me at any point. And Mare interrupted me, I think, at the most heartbreaking point. It could not have been done more perfectly. Kiran is such a sweet being. I love them so much. Nothing can hurt them because I love them so much. My favorite scene from the campaign. Can you choose between my children? It has to be Lillian tossing out that curse to Avelia after being attacked, because I think I was choosing between many Lillian moments, but I think that one consolidates a lot of the factors about Lillian and April's performance that I truly enjoy. It is the subtlety that she shows in her character, what she knows and does not know, and just in those really small moments, I feel like a person looking into the abyss of, oh my goodness, this character goes so deep, I don't know where the bottom is, and I am taking the plunge right now in this moment, and I am excited for the ride. Yeah.
And honestly, that's the most beautiful part of Invisible Sun, at least to me, is the fact that you do create an entire character. You create someone who is going to stick with you for years, if not the rest of your life. And it's really cool knowing that it is a part of you, either physically or emotionally. But that's all the questions that we have for now. And so what I would like to do, if we could please, is we'll go around and introduce yourself, where we can find you, what you do, and yeah. Let's start off with the GM for once.
Wow. Okay. Hi, I'm Mary. You can find me on Twitter at Archmage of Dice. I am the GM for this game, and I don't really do a lot at the moment right now. Some channel stuff that you can keep an eye out for is we got our Urban Shadows game out in the end of January. And so that's being GM'd by @Reliable Elliot. And on Monday nights, we have our 5e game, The Mind and the Martyr. I believe they are on hiatus until next year. Speaking of next year, we will be kind of be making a channel-ish not like 2020, come back with a bunch of our shows coming back at once. More information will be released at some point on Twitter. But basically, we've got Mind and the Martyr, Invisible Sun, and Urban Shadows, and the last 2 episodes of the Hyperlight Drifter game being all released about in the same week. So just keep an eye out for all of that. Even though we are done with our main campaign for the rest of the year, we are still having some content until we come back in January. So tonight was the Q&A. Next week, we are going to have a pre-recorded session dropping on YouTube and most likely airing on Twitch of a scene between Eleanor and Alex with Gonah and Carousel here. So it's going to be super hype, and I'm excited to record that. I'm going to popcorn it to see.
Hello, y'all. My name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I am a dancer, technically, a digital artist, tabletop streamer. You can find me pretty much all over the internet at Pi Sharp Art. I posted a thirst trap on TikTok today, pi_sharp, if you want to go look at that. I did it. It's there. My titties is out. You can go look at it. Um, that's how I had my booster shot today. I'm starting to get really tired. What else? I am also a main cast member on Transplanar RPG. You can find that streaming every Saturday at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. We just finished our Arc 4 finale literally yesterday. We have our denouement airing on Christmas Day at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Make your family gay. Watch Transplanar RPG. We are also dropping our brand new trailer for The Second Stranger, which is part 2 of our main campaign featuring the lovely Hamnah as well. That will be dropping at the end of next week's episode. It is literally beautiful and it's amazing. So we have huge things planned for 2022. So if you're interested in an all transgender, people of color led 100% homebrew D&D 5th edition actual play live stream, check out Transplanar. We would love to have you. And I'm going to pass it to Val.
Hi everyone, my name is Valiant Dorian. I use he and his pronouns. I'm a TTRPG performer and GM. I am also a Twitch variety streamer. I'm currently on vacation right now, so I won't be streaming for another 10 days. But I will be back towards after the holidays, back to streaming regularly. What else do I do? I sometimes post on TikTok. We're working on it. But you can follow me at Valiant Dorian on most social media, if not at Also Spirit Bear. And I am going to pass it on to Hamnah.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Hamnah, and I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer. You can find me on Twitter at hshahid_. That's HSHAHID_, where I talk about all of the different projects that I'm a part of, including Transplanar RPG, which C mentioned. So if you like what I do, I am a queer disaster in pretty much everything that I play in, so you can come watch me make really bad decisions. Yay.
The bad decisions are also somehow the best decisions. Hi, I'm Gonah. I was your question hostess for the evening. I stream over on my channel, Gonah_Hawking. I also have Twitter, Gonah_Hawking. Like basically, you can find me as Gonah Hawking almost everywhere. I am a variety streamer, a voice actor, and TTRPG player. Right now, like an hour before this started, I was doing Shifting Echoes. That's where my partner and I co-DM in a D&D 5e setting that's a little different from normal. Other than that, and the wonderful scene shot that I'll be doing with Mare that's going to be up next week.
Should be next week.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. Other than that, I'm not really doing anything. So if you require a queer POC in your games, come check me out. I am cool. With that, I think we're done. I'm so thankful to all of you for allowing me to be on your channel.
Thank you for hosting.
And we will see you next time.
Yes, we will see y'all in the new year with new sessions, starting with session 8 and more heartbreak and all that fun stuff. So everybody have a lovely start of your week.